Hey everybody, today I am here with Warren Thompson, co-founder of Ollo Metrics. And Warren, the first time that we talked and decided to work together, you were a team of 3 with yourself, your co-founder Charles, and 1 employee. Where are you now?
Well, Jesse, it's a pleasure to be here talking with you. And I could say now we are a team of, it's about 25 people at our agency. Not everyone's full time, but we are a team of 25. And we've had some great team members that have been with us for like over 5 years. And so I feel like we've been really blessed in the culture that we've created, even though we're a remote team. People still feel like there's this sense of like, hey, I'm part of this team. This is the best team I've been on, and they want to stick around, which is, I think, being very beneficial for our growth, but also for my sanity as a business owner.
Yeah, and when we started working together, I remember the first testimonial that you gave, you talked a lot about just like the mental sanity and being able to have somebody kind of talk through, especially with rapid growth. Can you talk a little bit about those first like 9 or 12 months that we worked together? So you went from the 3 employees to about 8 or so, and then from about 15,000 per month to 100,000. What was that kind of like journey like? Can you kind of bring yourself back a little bit, because it was a while ago?
If I'm going to place the timeline, it was shortly after COVID, and so we're a digital marketing agency. There was a lot of marketing budgets at the time shifting away from events and like in-person experiences to digital marketing, and everyone was just kind of like, they felt like they needed to get on the train. So we were, at first when it happened, it was actually a scary time. We didn't know if we were going to have to, shut our doors and fire our 1 employee, and the tides turned for us. So honestly, it was invaluable to have you as a person, as a third, like, impartial party to really talk through our challenges, because we were growing so fast and there were so many demands. We were just trying to like basically tread water to stay above the mountain of work that was coming our way. We didn't have the systems to make all of those people that we're having to add to our team useful yet. And so there's a lot of what Charles used to call mob ball. He still calls it once in a while, where there's a lot of people that don't know what they're doing, and then there's like duplication of work, and there's confusion, and there's like too much communication having to happen. And so I think those are just the growing pains of like growing way too fast, and then trying to build a system as that is taking off.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, and then I remember you had hired somebody, which would make it a team of 4, realized it was the wrong person, let them go, and then we went into this really intense focus on your offer. Do you remember in like the way beginning, some of like just even the messaging and trying to figure out how to make it to where that offer resonated, and also in a way that increased client lifetime value, and kind of that repackage was a big one for you, if I remember correctly?
We actually use the same offer. We haven't changed it. Yeah. But I've simplified it a little bit so it doesn't take as much work to do,
Yeah,
but we still
yeah.
use the same offer. And it was on this kind of idea of, just to build some trust with new clients. We have a small, easy yes. It's like
Mm-hmm,
the yes ladder, right? They come in,
mm-hmm,
they do a sales meeting with us, and it's an easy yes for them to say yes to this 1-week project.
mm-hmm.
So at the time we called it a digital opportunities analysis, and now we've kind of tailored a couple different messages depending on some audiences. But lately we've called it an online report card, and so especially with maybe more of the business owner that is like wearing all of the hats and doesn't understand what all of those syllables, digital opportunities analysis, mean.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still a 1-week project, and they get a lot of value out of it. And then that allows us to also get access to their Google Analytics, which is where we can kind of like, shine a little bit, audit things, and go, hey, you know what? Here's your actual opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing that you maybe thought was the pain point, and here's the thing that maybe was a blind spot for you. And that I just having that opportunity to actually look and then show them where the blind spot is has expanded scope multiple times. They might come in and say, hey, our Facebook account's broken. And then I audit things and I go, you know what? Like, your Google ads are the biggest opportunity, and that's the area that you're actually have you're wasting the most money.
Mhm.
So I think that was a invaluable decision for us to make because we've been using it now for, I don't know,
Yeah, 6
6 years,
years.
7 years. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that it's great that it hasn't changed and just makes the whole onboarding process the same for every single client. It's like this, they all start at the same place, which makes the fulfillment really predictable when we're onboarding new clients.
By the way, for anybody that's listening, I did not make sure that Warren had been using the same offer this entire time. So that's a surprise to me, but it's not surprising if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because when something works within the business, especially like the offer and that introductory kind of part, you don't really want to change it. And making it to where there's consistency and predictability in that way beginning sets up for a really good client experience. Now you're a team of 25, and I'll kind of go back and forth between these because I think that for anybody that's listening, this can be very aspirational. They're hearing about leverage for growth, and you're actually my first client. We started working together August of 2020,
Wow.
and worked together about 2.5, 3 years or so. And in that time, you were solo. You weren't a husband or a father, and then now you're a husband and a father, which is cool. You went from the 3 person to a 25 person team. When you think about just from the business side, we know that the offer has basically stayed the same, even with 25 people, which is cool. What else have you kind of like learned from that fundamental leverage for growth being built from the ground up and getting to a place where is there certain things that you're still using from that time?
Our actual services that happen after that 1 week offer are a little bit different, but like they're similar platforms. But there's new ad platforms like TikTok wasn't a thing back then, really, or it was like really in its infancy and maybe didn't have the ad side. And we do TikTok ads and programmatic, and now this Chat GPT ads, and you name it. All of that stuff is shifting at all times, but that first week project where we're kind of like assessing things and creating a little plan, that's the thing that stayed like structurally very similar. As far as life, yeah, lots of changes, lots of changes. From hustling nonstop and working into the wee hours of the evening and night sometimes, to now having a pretty like I'd say like fulfilling yet demanding personal life of, when I get off work, there's a baby there. So I have these constraints that I can't just work nonstop, and I have to protect that time, and I want to, right? And so then I think like the biggest thing to get to that point, maybe there's two. Like I'm kind of the type of person, I like learning new things all the time, and I like doing new things, and I feel like I'm pretty good at it, figuring things out, like a lot of founders, I'm sure, which is probably why you started your agency in the first place. Well, it was the book Dan Martell, Buy Back Your Time, is a good kind of reference point if you've never read it, of just looking at like what am I spending my time on, and how can I buy that back by training someone else or giving someone else accountability for those pieces. A big one for us was sales. So now we have a full-time head of growth, and she does all of the sales. And so that was like a huge piece of my week before. Now we don't have to do that. And then the other piece is now like for our account managers. Now we have kind of a senior account manager structure where they're like a senior, let's say, coach slash strategist for our newer account managers, and that has pulled me out of the line, I guess, working with clients much more than I've ever had or experienced before. And so, like taking your week and going, okay, where am I spending my time? How can I hire that thing out? How can I hire that thing out? I've also taken this personal life, like someone now mows my lawn because I did that last year. Now with the baby, I do not have time to do that, or if I do, it's like taking away from something else, right? So it's just like, we did with you, Jesse, like very early, doing that time audit, and then going, okay, how can I buy back my time, or at least hire back my time with someone else who already works for me, is essential. The other piece is the systems thinking approach, where every single thing that we do for a client, let's say, um, and it could even be every new tool, every new shiny object is thinking like, where does that fit into our current value stream or process flow for that client? And so there's like, there's like 3,000 new AI tools now on the market, and new ones getting added every day. So they're all shiny, they're all new, they're all like there, and you feel like you're falling behind, and you have to implement these new ones. But unless you have a place to put it in your operational workflow, it's just going to add more and more chaos with every single new tool. So it has to be repeatable. If you're not using that to create some sort of repeatable action that is going to save some time, then it's just going to create more and more chaos and confusion.
I'm sure there's more you're going to go on a rant, but I want to point out two things. So, first off, if you look at, we just recently doubled down on the word leverage, which obviously makes sense because we have a trademark leverage for growth, and it's our method, and so forth. But now I start seeing it everywhere. And the moment that I identified it, because you're my first client, and now I've had 500. So the actual like pattern of starting with the founder and focusing on the founder first, as opposed to all the other programs that focus on lead and sales, and focusing on the founder and starting to look at the time and being able to understand the journey of a founder going from the doer within the business to a trainer to a manager to a leader to a visionary. And when you build systems, you're actually just moving the role of the founder upstream towards that. It's really interesting because our whole positioning now is based around leverage first agency scaling, which is based around what you just described as one of the biggest things you're still holding on to. The second thing is, when you look at systems, you look at it the right way. A lot of times people think systems are just more software, but a system is actually that repeatability side. And it also gives you the understanding of what Joy Gilkey on one of the podcasts talked about as a singularity of focus, where you have kind of like this value stream, and once it's effective, you don't really want to like mess with it that much. You're just like, okay, it's working, like the offer, and keep it and start changing only the variables that need to be tweaked. Now, that singularity of focus is the same way that you're looking at AI tools, where naturally people gravitate towards a shiny object. And then it'll be like, how can I switch everything to make this thing work? And then all of a sudden, like, there's too many variables, where you're looking at it in the right way, where you're looking at your value stream. And I think that I taught you that word back in 2020. But looking at the value stream and getting to a place where you understand that the system is only as good as the repeatability and the predictability of the outcome that's created. So very, very cool things.
I think the reason why it's hard is because it's counterintuitive. Like, you've got the new shiny object, it's almost impossible not to chase it, and every single article you read is telling you why you need to, or every single Instagram video that says Claude just killed this, and there's so many of those. I'll give two examples. One was actually very recently. There we found that there was this miscommunication in this one step of our onboarding. That's one I'm currently working on. There's another one for when we're launching campaigns. So when we're launching campaigns, we usually need to get approvals on the creative artwork and then also the copy, and then we eventually have a task that says schedule the campaigns, and so there's a dependency there, and some people were scheduling the campaigns before they knew that everything else was approved, and so there's a little bit of like, I say gray zone where we're okay. We didn't know that wasn't approved. Okay, great. So I'm meeting with the team to go through it instead of just talking at each other in a circle. We just pulled up the whiteboard and we said, which step is off right now? Oh, it's this step. And then that person owns it. And so let's list out the challenge, and let's list out maybe like a 1-3-1 on potential solutions we want to do, to try to fix this step. Okay, now we got some ideas. Let's test this one on this step for the next few weeks and then see how that goes. And so all of a sudden we're now actually looking at this whiteboard, working on it together, instead of just like going around in a circle of people's opinions. So invaluable conversation moved from this time wasting conversation. And then the other one was, now that yeah, Google's dying and SEO is dead and everything else, right? So it's not. long story short. So we started doing AEO packages, which is very similar to SEO packages. And but before we did that, we said, okay, we're going to create a whiteboard or value stream that identifies all of the steps and what we're doing, so that when we use the first project to kind of build it out, and then after that, now we've got the template for the next project. And there's some version 2, version 2b or whatever, so that we'll make some changes along the way. But then that way, that when we've got that next project, we've got the value stream mapped. I think like that's the way to think about it. And we even tie that back to, okay, now what are we saying in the proposal that's going to lead to the project being sold, and really connecting all of those pieces. Because I think when you're just starting out, you might not have enough time to do a lot of this stuff, because I didn't. So you're just trying to sell things, and as a founder, usually you're pretty good at selling things. And I've heard this jumping off the diving board and inventing water on the way down. And so you're like, yeah, we can do that. And then like, oh, we'll just figure it out. And the more you do that, the more as a founder, you just get sucked into solving the problem, because the team won't know what to do.
This is really cool. The value stream activity, I think for anybody that is listening right now that does not have processes mapped out in some type of visual, that's probably step number one when it comes to actual systems thinking. But the way that you're describing it is actually the right way. It's this. I actually want people that are listening right now to focus on a couple different things that you just described really quickly. Number one is that within the team, you brought the team to a process flow, and you started to work through it as a team, and it wasn't dictated based around you and what your thoughts are and what needs to change. That's number one. That's a leadership capability or quality that you want to kind of instill. That's number one. Second thing is that you didn't wait for perfection. You figured out how to test it. Whatever idea you guys do, you're going to test it for the next couple of weeks and then come back and look at it. And that's very similar to like the kata process improvement mindset when it comes to it. And so many times people will come up with like grand scheme improvements and then try to implement it. And like, it's too many things that are changed all at once that you don't really know if it's going to work or not. And the way that you're doing the incremental changes and you're testing it out to see whether or not you're actually even going in the right direction is an awesome quality.
It's just come from years of doing it, trying it, figuring out, oh, we did a little bit wrong. Okay, we should do this next time. Like I do have a few lessons that I could probably share. So we tried to do SOPs and in many different shapes and forms over the years, even after we worked together, Jesse. And one of the things that really helped us was, first, always start with the value stream, which it could be a whiteboard or process flow. Sometimes, like, all these words are used interchangeably, and pick a start point and an end point, and every single step in between has one role assigned to it. So we used to have some SOPs that had like multiple people, right? So it was like this person does this, then this person does this, then this person does this, and it just got way too confusing. It would get bogged down. So we said, okay, no, this thing is owned by this person in this one setting where they do the work. That was your tip. And then it passes on to the next person, and so that you can have a clearly defined second step. So that was really key. We also broke out our SOPs into like two kind of levels of structure. One is a guide, which is like just a quick like 1, 2, 3. Here's the steps, maybe a quick video, and then an SOP, which is like, this is an important step. We can't afford to screw this up. Let's have a formal SOP structure for this. And I made recording a video required on every single one of them, which was very important, because when people shoot the video to explain what they just wrote down, they often catch themselves where they made the mistakes. All of these steps that exist on this whiteboard also go into. We use ClickUp for project management, but Monday or whatever, Asana, whatever you use. All of those also go in with the exact same words, go into a ClickUp task list. And so usually it's like a parent task list for the actual like whiteboard, or you might break it into a few different sections with milestones. But then every single item has a role assigned to it, which they can just reference the whiteboard if they don't know how to do that thing. And so we created the template that just gets copied into a client project that has a referenceable, here's how to do this step. Um, with those pieces working together, it's just like this beautiful little system that works together. And then that's why people come in, they go, oh my God, like I know what to do right from the get go. And it's, yeah, it took a lot of time to get there, but it's so worth it.
If you run an agency, you know the grind. Every client, a custom proposal. Your positioning all over the place. And there's no clear way to scale. I built the Scalable Agency Accelerator to fix this. It is a 7-step proven system that I've used with over 500 agencies to clarify their niche, sharpen their offer, and grow. Right now, you can get step 1 for 7 days. You'll define who you serve, lock in your positioning with no guesswork. Start your free trial today, and the link is in the show notes. I'm kind of geeking out because obviously I'm like now in my mind thinking about your workflow and your value proposition, and then like knowledge management system, like the how to's, and then how it's connected to a project management system, all operational kind of like geeky stuff. But what it ended up doing is it sets up for a really good experience, not only for the client, which is obviously what most people focus on, but more actually on the employee side. And I remember when we first started working together, those first employees took about 6 or 9 months to get to independence. And even like they're really, really good, it just they weren't set up for success. And I remember during the growth, we got to a certain place where we minimized that from 6 or 9 months down to about 3 or so. And then you got it so structured that you could actually do like a training system and then assign the training system. Do you still have the training system?
Yeah. It's a 30, 60, 90 template that we would give new employees. So we have them for like a couple of the primary roles where like a new marketing coordinator is kind of our number one entry point into the team. But a new one of our new like ad specialists or a new account manager, they also have we've got them built. And then so along with that were some courses. And one of the things that like I started out was creating some onboarding courses for the team because when we went to a remote team, I was like, hey, I need a way to like, automate this and onboard people. And like can't do it with them sitting beside me at the desk anymore. So and still use those courses. We've just made updates on the videos that are out of date, and then that's it. And you know what? Honestly, what I tell new people is, "Hey, by the way, some videos are going to be out of date. Just let me know which ones." And they don't always know, but they've got a pretty good idea once they start seeing some of our templates, and they're like, "Oh, these things have changed." So I use every new person as like a way to like audit which things are out of date, and then we just go and like update those. So um, like in a perfect world, I would just have someone doing that nonstop, but we're busy and doing client work and stuff. So they're all pretty close. But yeah, like those onboarding courses, think one of the things for me was figuring out is like that is different. Training is different from your systems. And so you've got your onboarding training. Maybe we have a 30, 60, 90-day guide for things that they should be doing in those first, especially the first 6 weeks. Those are really mapped out. And then it gets a little like choose your own adventure a little bit after that. But it's very different than the documentation that you need for your systems and your steps, like with SOPs and in our case, guides is what we call them. And like those two things can work together, but like some one's about like creating some training on how to be successful in this role. The other one's about how to do this specific process properly.
I think it's a clear distinction that a lot of people miss. They always think that SOPs are the training, and being able to make it position specific, where it literally is like you have your arm around the person that you're training and going, okay, here's what we need to do. Here's the resources you have. Here's how you're going to use these certain things to accomplish what you need. I think that that distinction is very crucial. The other part that you had said that I really want people to understand is that there is always a system that's being improved. And if you can find that kind of repeatability where like a new employee that's going through and looking at training videos and giving you feedback in order for you to improve it. I think that's like super crucial. You can also do the same thing with operations and people using SOPs, and then realizing that something might have changed with the SOP, and then raise their hand and improve it that way. Um, and I think that that system thinking, this is a really, really good segue, because I think that setting up the business to be able to be that system, be that repeatability, have that predictability, um, most likely lets you sleep better at night.
Sure, sure does. I actually, and so now if I think back to like, 2020, 2021, there was always something extremely stressful that I had to deal with. And there were some periods of time where, like I'd be just burning the candle at both ends for months. And so like now in my personal life, like we we just had a lack of sleep for the last 6 months with our new baby, our daughter, and so to not have that in the business has been. I feel like I wouldn't have been able to do it. I wouldn't have been able to do both, and so it was like I'm so thankful that I had those years where I was building all of that stuff to then get to this point, and yeah, and I know that that doesn't always work out. It doesn't always work out that way for everyone. Some people just gotta, they're like, what, I'm doing both at the same time, and it is what it is. And but just for me, it was a lifesaver.
Random question off the cuff. Do you
Yep.
still work on the weekends?
No, no. But where I work in my house, so, gotta do some landscaping and all that stuff. If I do work on the weekend, it's usually for something like a speaking gig or something that I've got coming up that is a little bit more like work, like I'd say adjacent, work adjacent. Like I did a conference recently, so I think on Sunday I took some time and was just working and practicing my presentation, like that kind of stuff. But like on a consistent basis, yeah, I didn't work at all this last weekend or the weekend before. I don't think.
The speaking gig and stuff like that, that's more of like for not necessarily the agency itself. It's more based around your choice, more on a passion side. This is really cool because the systems that you built in the way beginning of working together, and have gotten into where you have the weekends basically free. It's your choice if you want to end up working on those. You sleep better at night. You have a team of 25. And have you been able to take like either family vacations, or did you take time off anytime in the last 6 months that you normally wouldn't have been able to do when you're obviously a team of three or trying to grow fast?
So I took about 3 weeks completely off. And then I think I jumped in and answered a couple of messages here and there from the team. But not until at least after the first week and a half, 2 weeks. And then I took about another couple weeks where it was kind of half time coming back, and then I kind of started to get into it. But it's also been super helpful, like because I work from home, so I've got some flexibility. I don't have to commute to work. This is a day that I need off early, so because we got an appointment with the baby, able to my schedule is pretty fluid, and so I can just kind of move things around and make that work. For example, I still play in a band. Jess, you still play music as a guitarist, and so Monday, 2 days ago, I took the whole day off, and we went to the studio and recorded guitars on one of our new songs. So yeah, we have team members that can still do that too, though, right? Because they've got some vacation days. We do wellness days for our team if they need it for something personal and stuff. So I feel like maybe that's another reason why the team feels like, hey, this is a good place to stick around, because they also feel that flexibility. One of my team members, she just went to Australia for like a wedding, and she's working there for like the next 3 weeks. I know that she's awesome at her job, and she's going to not miss any of the things that she needs to do. So we just adjusted her time schedule so that she's working within these hours, and then she's also working before like the rest of our day starts. And you know what? She's going to do everything amazing and get everything done. And she come back. She doesn't have to feel like a prisoner that can't do the things that she wants. I think that's somehow how I felt when I was an employee. Even though I worked for a pretty good company and stuff, I still felt like a little bit of a prisoner. I felt like I had to leave.
One really cool thing that you're talking about, because leverage for growth, obviously, for anybody that's studied our method, focuses on time first, systems, offer, pipeline, and then empowering the team or empowering your people. And what's cool is in the conversation over the last half an hour, we've talked through pretty much every one of those. And what you're describing right now is an organizational culture by design, where what you experience as an employee, you didn't really want to create the same experience in your own business. And you wanted that same type of freedom where you could take off time for the things that really matter. And then you want to be able to create an atmosphere for your team to be able to do it, not to, take advantage of it, but to more just understand how to work within what you have there. And that organizational culture, is so important, and being able to understand what kind of values you want within the brand, overall branding, and then also like as an employer, what you wanted to create. And you're talking about it like it's second nature, which is cool because it's kind of just ingrained in you over the last several years. But I think it's really important because you freed up time, created the systems, you did the offer, you figure it out based around the demand, how to increase that demand. But then most importantly, you empowered the people to be able to run the business without you, which is huge.
Wasn't easy, and it's still not easy. Nothing that's worth it is. But I do get to come to work and work with a team of people that I love and love working with, and then if we get to work for clients that we also love working for. It kind of feels like we're working with them sometimes. For the most part, there's always difficult clients, and you'll never get away from it completely. But sometimes the difficult client creates just the right enough amount of tension and challenge to make you, sharpen the pencil a little bit more, or sharpen your systems and really bring your A game. So and it kind of tests you.
Two things, and then we'll wrap up. First off, I just wanted to thank you. First off, for trusting me and being my first client. I think that I learned a lot from the experience taking leverage for growth, which is kind of like a rough method of what I really wanted to know in my first businesses, and being able to apply it, and being able to do that in such an awesome like first case study, first client, and then now serving 500 of them based around the lessons that have been learned. And it always comes back to the fundamentals of what we learned together, starting in August of 2020. So that's
Yeah.
number one. And then second off, I just want to say, where are you going? Like, so you got the 25-person team. Are you going to keep on scaling it to the moon? Are you at a good spot? Like, have you thought about what's next for you and Ollo?
We still want to grow. Growth means more opportunities for everyone on the team. It also means that we get to have more fun, win as a team together, push ourselves, challenge ourselves, do bigger and better things, work with more exciting clients. I've used this quote before from one of my books. It's called Finite and Infinite Games. But so the finite game is play for the purpose of winning, and infinite game for the purpose of continuing the play. And so for me, because we've gotten to this point where I just love coming to work, doing the work, working with the team. And it truly feels like a team sport. The goal is to continue the play and keep great people motivated, and great people like help to see them rise up and grow in their careers. So I think the building more towards that is the path for us, and I think that we still got more to do, more to grow.
Awesome, man. Thanks a lot for sharing your story with us at Lovers for Growth. And we'll just have to have you come on when you hit the 50 people,
Sounds good, Jesse. Thank you for having me, and yeah, it's been a pleasure to be part of your journey as well. Thank you.